Hello everybody, welcome to this week's webinar. We're here at Tiffany Green's Golf Club in Kansas City, Missouri with Brenndan Cooper. Our sponsor as always is Medicus Golf and Kick-Ass Golf. Today we're going to talk about, we had a lot of requests for driver stuff. You know, how do I get it further? How do I get up? Should I get down? I mean, lots of stuff.
Right.
You know, so we made this week's webinar is swing speed, but it's not only about swing speed if you want to increase the distance.
Right.
Right. So if you're trying to increase distance, there are several pieces. One of them is swing speed. You want to talk about a couple of the other ones here? Oh, also, if you have any questions, just put them in the sidebar.
Well, definitely swing speed. You know, when anybody comes to us and they always say that, you know, they want more distance, they always think, well, I got to increase swing speed, which, yes, you got to increase swing speed, but most importantly, we got to hit the ball in the middle of the face.
Right.
Okay. If you're hitting it all over this club face here, it doesn't matter how much speed you increase, your ball speed is going to go down.
Right.
So how solid you hit it is very, very vital.
Right. So you mean like hit it in the sweet spot?
Preferably.
Oh,
Preferably.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you could be swinging at 120 miles an hour, hit it in the toe or the heel, and it won't go as far as somebody swinging at 110, let's say, that hits it in the middle every time.
Right. You know, we've seen it several times with our students that we've had them on the flight scope, and you know, we've actually seen club head speeds that have dropped down 2, 3, even 4 miles an hour, but they hit it more in the center of the face, and then their carry increased.
Right. Their yardage and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. And the spin rate was
tons better.
tons better. So, you know, you can read all about the long drive guys who are generating, you know, 127, 130 miles an hour. And for the most part, they're hitting it in the middle of the face.
Yeah.
I can tell you an experiment we did years and years ago up in the Seattle area. We were trying to swing and hit the ball with speed as fast as we could. And I could get it up to 125. I was much younger, but I would hit it in the heel and the toe. So the speed that worked for me hitting it in the middle of the face was 116 then. Well, that is 16 miles an hour greater than what it is today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's really important today for me personally to hit it in the middle of the face.
Yeah.
If I've got to maximize distance.
Yeah.
And it's critical for anybody if they want to hit it. So you've got some marks on there.
Yeah.
Why don't you walk up there a little closer so that they can see this?
So you can see I've taken a driver here and just put some numbers. I'll lean down here.
There you go.
So right here on this black dot, that's pretty much dead middle of the club. So that's obviously the spot that we're trying to hit the golf ball to get maximum energy put into the ball.
Right.
So if we catch it high on the toe here, then our ball speed would drop 3 miles an hour off the ball speed. So more in the middle here would be 1 degree or 1 mile an hour. Then back over here on the top would be 2 miles an hour. So again, where we contact it on the face, even though we may be swinging this the same speed every time, your ball speed is going to drop.
Right.
Now it really drops down here towards the bottom, kind of where my finger's running down towards the sole of the club here. But if we catch it down in the bottom, we're losing anywhere from 7 to 9 miles an hour in ball speed.
Well, not only losing the ball speed, but let's look at how it changes the spin rate too.
Well, and the spin rate too is if we catch it down here in the bottom, we're losing, like I said, anywhere from 7 to 9 miles an hour ball speed, but your spin rates increase dramatically, anywhere from just over 700 RPMs, and it could be even up to 800 RPMs, just depending on how fast you're swinging it. But then if you catch it more up on the top part, above the center line here, your ball spin actually decreases some. So that's why, even though if you're going to miss the driver, you want to try to favor it up towards the top side here, because you're not losing as much ball speed, plus it's going to take some spin off the ball.
Right. So when we're talking about the top of the driver, you'll see people that swing down and their angles a little, they've got too much shaft lean and they're this way. And they're hitting that thing clear up here, and in some cases, you look at some drivers and they actually have marks on the top of the driver right there.
Or dents.
Or dents. And those are not speed slots, okay? That's from the golfer having too much shaft lean, moving ahead of the ball, and going down like this with no loft on the club, hitting it high and sometimes even on the top of the golf.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I can remember a guy telling me, I said, well, look at all this. How'd you do that? He said, well, I swung up on the ball. That's not correct. If you're swinging up on the ball, you hit it down here, not up here.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, so that's one of the keys. Is the speed is important, but hitting it in the middle of the face and controlling the amount of shaft lean or not lean that you have are the critical pieces, because you don't want to hit a driver out this way. You want to hit a driver with the shaft and left arm in line, not out of line in either direction.
Correct.
So we got the middle. We've got speed going on. The other things that are going to have to equate to this is how your body's moving, obviously. I mean, you can swing this thing as fast as you want. If you're hanging back here, you're still not going to hit it.
Not going to get it. Right.
I mean, you look at the long drive guys, they do move forward, and coming down, they're actually backing up. All right, and that's how the long drive guys are getting like that. But the average player doesn't get forward. They back up and they throw the club this way into the golf ball.
Right. I mean,
That's not going to add anything.
Right. The long drive guys are doing that, obviously, because they're trying to hit the ball as high and as far as they can. So, their average attack angle with the drivers, 7-8 degrees hitting up on it.
Right.
So they've only, again, you've said it many times, they've only got to get one ball in play.
That's right.
Just one. That's it.
And then people talk about, well, the draw goes farther than the fade. But everything is exactly the same. Your angle of attack, your speed numbers, everything's exactly the same. They go exactly the same distance. Now, the last 2 years at the World Long Drive, all the finalists have hit fades.
Yes.
A drawer did not make it into the finals.
Right. That's an old wives' tale there, between the draw and the fade.
So let's look at it. So we got speed of the club. We've got the pressure moving forward, but not all the way forward. We've got hitting it in the middle of the face. We've got the shaft and target side arm in line. The next thing we have to look at is kind of ball position too.
Yeah, definitely ball position.
So if you set up, and I found this yesterday as one of the students, I mean, they're just kind of hitting their ball everywhere. I went over and looked. Well, they've got that driver in the middle of their chest.
Yeah.
So in order to hit this, to hit up on this, you're going to have to go back this way. Well, that also brings the ground into play now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you might hit this ground pretty hard, but you're not going to hit the ball that way.
Right.
So if we're trying to swing upward or level, we want to put this ball up at the target side shoulder. So when we're coming into it, it's more inline and it's starting to move upward instead of moving down.
Yeah. Definitely with the driver setup is, this setup that Chuck's talking about, this is kind of what I've told some of our kids before is set up for speed. And this is setting up for speed with the driver. The irons and the driver setup and swings, they're completely different animals.
Right. And it's just like last week when we talked about uneven lines. With the driver, you want to feel like you're hitting off of an uphill line.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want to feel it going this way. You don't want to feel it going this way.
Right.
Then the body plays a role in this also. Right? How your body, and go ahead and set up, and how your body is extending or moving upward through the shot. And everybody says, well, you never stand up. Well, you don't really stand up. But Brenndan goes back and he starts down. As he starts coming into the ball, this left shoulder, left hip, everything is moving up and back. Okay, it's moving that direction to get that extension through the shot, right?
Yeah.
So that stops you from having too much shaft lean as well.
Yeah, and you want to feel, again, like Chuck was saying, you want to feel like you're stretching this whole lead side. You want to feel this whole lead side here being stretched upward like so.
Right. So if you had let's just say Brenndan was set up and now he's got a lawnmower and he's going to pull this cord. All right. So if he's at the top of the backswing, right, and he starts down, when he gets to where that lawnmower cord would be, now imagine you're starting a lawnmower. Boom. That's the feel you want to have coming through impact. I mean, it's a good feel to have going back, and then it's a good feel to have it coming through the shot as well.
Yeah.
So you need a right-handed and left-handed lawnmower, I guess.
There we go. Or just a bungee cord.
Or just a bungee. All right, so let me see what kind of questions we got here. All right, so the first question is, Marcelo, how to increase distance with the driver. We just covered that. Hope you got that. How to swing faster. I'm 76 years old. Well, you know, Lloyd, we talked about swinging fast a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there are key elements to swinging fast. So if you want to talk about that, Brenndan, I'm going to get one of our training aids we use.
Right. One thing that Chuck and I have talked quite a bit about in the past, as far as making sure we keep the speed and keep it going, is we definitely want to make sure we're swinging the arms as fast as we can. You know, a drill that we've done before, and Chuck's getting another aid that we've used several times, is if you have an alignment rod, or even if you take a golf club and grip it more towards where the club head is, and then practice taking it and just swinging the shaft and grip in, and try to see how loud of a swoosh you can make. The louder the swoosh, obviously the faster it's moving and the faster your hands and arms are moving.
Right. And we do this a lot. It not only enables synchronization from the players, but you just take a rope, and what you want to do is you want to make sure you make a full turn back, lay the rope on your shoulder. Now you can see I start with my left knee, left foot, left hip, left shoulder. And when you start down, you do this in slow motion. You swing the rope all the way to finish. So now what you would do is you would take it up, again, turn your body to the top, and swing it. And you're going to hear, you want to swing this rope as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it allows all the forces and the energy in your lower body to be traveling this way. The mistake we see when people do this is they go like this.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to do that, because all you're going to do is going to come around and whack you in the back.
Yeah, so it'll teach you not to do it real quick.
Yes, and when that's out of sequence and you hit your back, it's like somebody taking like a whip and just whacking you with it.
Yeah, and you'll notice when Chuck did that is his body is transporting his hands and his arms. Okay, so the body will initiate it, but at the same time, he's got to have some freedom with his hands and arms so they can swing that rope. Right? It's not just a body swing, and it's not just an arm swing. Right? They blend together, they work together.
Right. And so I feel your pain, Lloyd. I'm 65. I've lost a little distance, but I can still crank it out there when I have to. All right, so
from the forward tees.
From the forward tees, yes. Okay, so Joe, how do I stop hitting the ground before the ball? You know, that's a common problem with people, and you can do it. I mean, you do it with an iron, you do it with a driver, you do it with any club, basically. So you're hitting the ground before you hit the ball because the club head, and you don't have enough pressure forward, and the club head is getting too low too early. All right, so my hands didn't travel far enough, and they travel because my left side of my body's moving. And you'll see, I just have it here now. I take my left shoulder and go upward and inward. See how it's pulling my hands forward? They're just along for the ride at that point. So when people hit it fat, it's usually because they're hanging back and they move the club head instead of moving the grip.
Exactly.
So a good drill you can use is just lay an alignment rod down, or take a piece of rope or an old club, anything. Just lay it straight on the ground, and use that as your ball location, let's say. Go to the top of the swing, swing down, and strike the ground on the other side of the rope, whatever you've laid down. Right? So when you can do that every time, then you're moving the club the right way. Don't put a ball there and just hit the ball. Right?
Yep.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. We have several today. That's good, you guys. All right, the next question by Jay. Do you recommend using the aiming line on the golf ball when putting? Well, a lot of players do that. If you have the Kick X golf ball, it actually has those alignment lines on it.
Yeah.
All right, so you can clearly see how to line those up. If you have just a regular golf ball, they all have the name of the ball, so you can use that. And again, if that helps you, then do that. If it doesn't change anything, then don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's more personal preference than anything. I mean, there's, I use it. I have several students that, don't use it. I don't push it towards everybody. But what it does psychologically, if you do use it, then when you're over the ball, you're not second guessing your aim, because you know if you've got the line set and it's going where it needs to go, and when you get over the ball, now you're just focused on the speed part.
Right.
So from a psychological standpoint, it can help you, but again, it's not for everybody.
And you also have to realize that the first time you do this and you line up to it, you're going to think there's no way that this is aimed correctly.
Yeah, because it will. I mean, the first few times you do it, there's going to be a process of calibrating your eyes,
right?
Because it's not going to feel that that's where it really is.
Right, and you know, if you stood straight behind, I mean, your eyes are, you know, our eyes are designed to look straight ahead this way. They're not really designed to look this way. So to get a feel for how that lines up, if you're a right-handed golfer, in a full shot or a putt set up like this, now do it from the left-hand side and see the perspective of it. You know, and that'll make a world of difference, just changing how you look at the golf ball.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, our next question. This one is from Bill. Without changing shafts, how can you obtain a higher ball flight with the driver? Well, and we kind of touched on that as well. You basically do it in the setup.
Yeah, do it in the setup, and first do it in the setup is I would make sure that, you know, we've got the ball in a good location, and we want to have, like we were talking earlier, we want to feel like the ball is up off our lead shoulder here. So if I'm a right-handed player, it's going to be off my left shoulder. So definitely want to make sure ball position's in a good spot. And, you know, the other thing too is on the downswing, make sure that the head is not floating forward either. We want to feel like the head's staying nice and steady, and that's going to allow us to get everything working more vertical with our lead side here.
Yeah.
That's going to help with the angle of attack. And then lastly, just check where you're hitting the ball in the club face, because, you know, if you're hitting it low on the club, well, it's going to want to come out lower. If you're hitting it, you know, more middle to high, well, then that's a pretty good spot. Just make sure the ball's in a good spot. Make sure the head's staying where it should stay too.
Right. And try to hit balls off of an uphill line.
Off an uphill line, yes.
All right, our next question, and this is from John. Straight ball hitter, very consistent, yet everybody out drives me by 40 yards. I can't tell you the last time I was on a green, par 4 or par 5, that I was on the green in regulation, that I didn't use a wood to get there with a lucky roll. Okay, so John, again, it all comes down to speed and how you're hitting that ball relative in that club face. How you have your lines, okay, in one line and not two lines. Remember, those are all two lines. That's too much, not enough, just right. So you've got to hit it in the middle. You've got to generate the speed. We talked about using the rope or the alignment rods. And you've got to be able to move your pressure in your feet and body effectively as well.
Yeah. And, you know, one thing that I'll add to this, and kind of throwing in a club fitting element to it, is, you know, I would definitely, you know, make sure that whatever clubs you're using are fit for your swing as far as the launch conditions and the spin rates and all that.
Right.
You know, there's several times where we'll have students come to us and they say, you know, I want to hit the ball 15, 20 yards farther, and we look and they're using the driver back from, you know, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
you know,
when you've got an offset Cobra driver with a graphite shaft, that's not going to go as far.
Right. You know, I mean, those clubs back then didn't launch the ball near as what they do today. So, you know, not necessarily trying to tell everybody they got to run out and buy something, but definitely keep that in the back of your mind, because it plays a very vital role to maximize distance or your distance potential.
Right. So, and also in concert with, you know, having the clubs maximize what you can do, there's also the fitness part of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're only swinging the club at 50 miles an hour, right, you're going to hit a shot that's approximately 130 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you want to hit it farther, now you go to 100 miles an hour, now you're at 260 yards. This is carry if you hit it in the middle of the face. So the faster you can get that club to move, that's going to equate to more distance.
Yeah.
But again, if you can't move the club fast, then you have to work on strength and flexibility part in order to get your body to perform at a higher level.
Yeah.
Or move up 2 tees and you'll reach every par 4 then.
There you go.
Yeah.
We could have just said that from the beginning.
Okay.
All right. And our last question from Keith. The effects of ball position with regard to the height and distance obtained, and how this affects the stopping distance of the irons to the green. So,
if you're hitting an iron to the green, depending on the shot, depending on the pin placement, depending on the lie, there's a lot of things that are going to affect your decision on what trajectory you want to hit that shot.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you've got a pin in the back, don't try to be like the PGA Tour players and try to fly it all the way back there. They have pretty good control of the golf ball. Okay?
And they hit it high
And
enough
they hit
to
high
stop.
enough to that. With spin.
Yes.
The average golfer needs to bring the ball flight down a little bit, hit it to the middle of the green, and at the worst case, it just stays there. If the trajectory is decent enough, you can get it to roll on back a little ways. So depending on the pin placement would be ideally how you control the trajectory. So now, how do you control the trajectory? Well, the easiest way is think about it like this. If I want to hit the ball the highest, would my club look like this at impact or this at impact? If I want to hit the ball the lowest, would my club look like this at impact or like that at impact?
Right.
So think about where your shaft location is. So now, let's say I can't think about the shaft, I want an easier way to do it. All right, so if I want to hit the ball the highest, would I play the ball up here or play the ball back here? It's the same message, right? Because both of those are going to control how the shaft's coming into the ball.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're both going to control the trajectory at some point. And then the third piece you could add to this was if I want to hit the ball the highest, my body more here or my body more here. If I want to hit the lowest, what do? Body's more here, right?
Yep.
And you can control that through what your shoulders are actually doing. So I can have the same ball position, go to the top, come down to impact with my shoulders here. That'll give me a higher trajectory than coming down to impact with my shoulders here. So think about the line on your club. So if you put a shaft up against your shoulders and then picture the trajectory you want, look how your body is.
Yeah.
Now just try to get your body in that position at impact.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that definitely, as far as from a playability standpoint there, what the trajectory is, that's going to dictate obviously how the ball's going to react on it.
Right. So you can hit it low and have it skip and still come back. You can hit it high. It's probably going to be, if it's done correctly, it'll probably take one bounce and stop would be the best way to do it. But you can hit it high and have it hit and spin back. Just remember, when you're spinning the ball back, that's not something the best players in the world want to do. It does it typically because of a slope on a green.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, but how many times have you watched a tournament where the golf ball is hit right up next to the flag and then spun back 20 feet? You think the guy that hit that shot is happy about that?
No.
No. We are, because we love seeing that, right?
We think we're cool.
We think we're cool, but he's going, what happened? So, I think that's all the questions we have for today. We are taking a couple of weeks off to do some routine upgrades and maintenance. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, 28 more days till training camp. So go Chiefs.
How about them Cowboys?
I knew you couldn't wait. I knew you couldn't wait. So in the meantime, great questions today. We thank you all, and we'll see you.